So in this video, I wanted to give you a tour of my messy classroom space to give you a sense of the projects that I'm working on now, the scope of them, and the things that I've been doing, are doing, and plan to do here in the future. So this classroom came with lots and lots of storage, but that storage is old and the finish on it is pretty ugly. And so we've been working on removing these, sanding them, staining them, making sure that the fixtures are correct and alignment and everything. And so here's where it's starting to go. You can see we've done some here, but there's so much more to do. You can see that there's just so much of this around the room, which is great because I have a lot of things to store, but it's going to be a lot of work. So behind this door, I store a set of modular SenseMart classrooms, 16 in total. And I'll dive more at the end of this video into exactly what's going on here. But basically, I use this to not just teach students how to create cool sounds, but to teach them about mathematical principles and ideas that they can see and hear, and to teach them how circuits work. But then also, there are some soldering equipment here. And that actually brings me to the point of this section of the video. This is something that I designed, these modules here, but I taught the students how to make them so that they could build the thing that would then teach them even more. And so this is the kind of thing I love to just get into, is to use my skills as a designer to design things that help my students learn and then teach them how to build those things. It's kind of like a nice cyclical loop of learning. I worked with a student last year to design a little prototype poster signage that we would use across the board, not to just help students find where things are, because that can sometimes be a struggle quickly, but also to remember or to deepen their understanding on critical ideas that they get introduced to, but sometimes, like as you're just going about your the work, those little details can get forgotten, and that just little bit of remembering, like what do these symbols mean and such, will be critical. So this is like a prototype poster. I'm working with another student to add more and to kind of fill it out, and it'll take a good part of this year to design those, and then I'll get them like professionally printed and we'll stick them up here for students to find and to learn from. Okay, if you look up here, those rows of lights are LED lights. They're not actually part of the original lighting, which is actually inside that track. That lighting is something that students and I work together to design, to manufacture. After we manufactured, realized that like the color blending wasn't working great, and had to like further troubleshoot and redesign, and eventually like get it working, and then fix the issues that we were having or whatever. Like it's, you know, any design and engineering challenge, there's lots of like steps in prototyping. It's not just, oh, just do this one thing. And so, yeah, so all these lights can change colors. Obviously, you can see that there are actually lights shining up because LEDs are directional. We're able to shine the white light down to the learning environment, and then have this cool, just ambient color shifting texture on the ceiling. But we're nowhere near done. We're just in the middle of this project. You can see like this part of the room doesn't even have that lighting, nor does this part. I'm using the fluorescent lighting for this area. And so we still got a lot of work to do that we'll be doing this year. Hopefully by the spring this year, that will be complete. Over here in this section, there are a bunch of audio effects pedals, some that are designed, made by me, some that are not. And I'm trying to create basically a music creation station over here. So I've got a drum machine, a synth. This is more for like ambient sonic creations, cool landscape, sonic landscape type stuff. This is more for your like acoustic singer-songwriter, maybe some light drive kind of thing. And then down here, of course, is a bunch of effect pedals, including the one that is part of this Indiegogo campaign for your electric guitar player to mess around with. And so this whole thing, not only do I want it to be something where a student can just come in, take a guitar, plug it in, or start playing with that, or even playing together. I want it to be something that invites them to learn more about it. And so this wall full of Garfields, eventually we're going to cover with some, it's not pegboard, but it's similar in nature, to help like store some of these cables, Our goal is to actually have lighting that is connected to this system. So when you play through it, it lights up different colors. To have like little circular, not little, but like, 6-inch, 3-inch, maybe larger circular holes with some information that kind of invites you to learn more about what does a tone knob do, and what do these certain things do, and cable management and headphones and all that sort of stuff. So that's something I'm working on. Ideally, I get it done by the end of the school year, but I have a feeling this is more of a 2-year project. This is something that we are currently working on. This is a giant modular synth, and there's even more space down below if we wanted to add some. It's all connected to this MIDI keyboard, and so I think, is it connected right now? So yeah, so there you go. It's a polyphonic. I currently only have only have 3 notes of polyphony. This unit here that's using to blend them all together and do some panning stuff and some other filter, and yeah. Anyway, there's still some quirks that I have to work out with it, but I'm working with students to try to build that out so that we can have 8 notes of polyphony, and they're helping doing some of the tuning work. And actually, students built these modules here, and so yeah, so kind of just slowly building it and made sure that we had space to continue building it out over years, really. And all of this, both all that stuff over there and all that stuff over here, will get connected to this mixer so that students could play together if they wanted to, and that gets connected to this sound system as a mixed output. But then our goal is for the person playing right here, that they would be able to, through this patch system, plug into speakers that would be right there and right there, and a subwoofer that'd be kind of, knees, shins heights, so that when they're standing at this keyboard, they have a left-right stereo and then the girth of the sub feel for the sound that they're creating. So kind of a really immersive experience. So right here we have a subwoofer plate amplifier that also has stereo left and right amplification. And so we're gonna use this as the back of a pretty massive sub that we want to use for our proms and any other dances or events that IDEA might put on. And so I've got 2 of them. I bought 2 of them because you need a lot. And I've got this 15-inch subwoofer that I bought, 800-watt subwoofer, and then we're gonna design a sub out of this that we can install that in the back of and then connect to other speakers, with the goal of building a second one and then building those other speakers. And that process will take some time, but I'm doing it with the students in my club. No tour of my room would be complete without mentioning these speakers. So I found an artist who had created some pretty cool geometric art that actually has some equations about how these different properties of geometric figures. Anyway, perfect for a math design-y classroom. And they were generous enough to let me, rather than buying the poster, to buy the file from them, so that I could get it printed on poster that has a specific property, poster board that has a specific property that lets it function fairly well as a speaker. In fact, you can see one that happened to fall down, so I'm gonna have to fix that. Here's actually the exciters that go onto the back of the poster. Here's that poster there. I'll need to repair it this week. And you can see it just attaches right there to the back. And so yeah, but that's not all the sound system. There's also a ribbon tweeter on either side. It's the stereo, so this is the right channel, that's the left channel, and then there's a subwoofer under my desk. And I plug my microphone, so when I'm teaching into this system, I can speak at a normal volume and be easily heard without needing to really project, and can be even heard in this back room area. And so I don't know how well it's going to come through this lavalier mic, but I figured I'll turn it up and let you hear. Turn it up. I want to end this video talking about this Eurorack module because it's really emblematic of the things that I'm trying to do here in the classroom. So this is a fully modular synth, as you can hear there. It's got an input section for controlling what notes are played, a VCO that has LFO in it. This section has a VCF, voltage controlled filter, VCA, voltage controlled amplifier, and for math reasons more than sound reasons, it's got some shifting circuits. So it can shift DC offset up and down, and it has a phase shifter that isn't like a musical one, but it can help shift the signal horizontally in time. This is mostly used for like hearing, like plugging in the system so you can hear it through headphones or the speaker in my math classes, but then there's also some other like little elements here that we can use to start to learn about breadboarding of circuits in my circuitry classes, because there's like a whole power system right there that we can plug into, and we can build some simple circuits pretty easily there. It just simplifies and accelerates that. And then lastly, there's this data module for Mordax that helps us see our like signal. So there's an oscilloscope, there's a tuner to see exactly the frequency. We can measure like time stuff, and there's other measurement things that we can do to gather data. This is an example form that I filled out of how we use it in mathematics. So we'd create a sound and we would document all the details about it. And we would start with learning about trigonometric properties like amplitude and period and phase shift and vertical shift. But then also like this morphing circuit morphs in an exponential pattern. So we would then learn about exponential equations. So it forces us, if we want to like create a mathematical model that shows and helps us understand what we're hearing, it forces us to learn a lot of mathematics. And that doesn't stop there. I mean, it just keeps going. The rabbit hole goes deep, including complex number system. You know, the imaginary number, well, it's necessary if you want to model circuits accurately. The reason why I want to stop and slow down and talk about this is because this thing was not possible at all without funding from VFE Pedals. And here's why. So I was able to get like a good chunk of this through a classroom set 16 from school district funding. So the case, this like with the power supply built in, this module, it originally had a VCO LFO module from the same company, Create Audio. This Mordax data, those are all like purchased. And so first year when we first started, I had to supply these. And I could ask for like equipment to like solder and to make, and there's certain parts I could ask for. So the classroom set wasn't 100% just me doling out money to buy everything, but a lot of it was because two big reasons. Number one is that if I were to have all of the funding and all of the things that I needed to get every last part, they don't all come from the same vendor. And even if they did, they still are complex enough and there's so many like variations and things that they would have not ordered the right stuff. In fact, that's already happened. I gave them a single link and said, go to this link and select the B10K potentiometer, and they bought a B100K. And that's not because they're like stupid or anything, it's because they don't deal in the world of electronics. So the complexity here is something that really I should order when it comes to some of these things. But then other things like, it's just so much more expensive to do with vendors in the United States. That's a limitation that the school district, because of like Washington state law, they can only buy from vendors in the United States. So it can make certain projects that would be reasonable in cost just astronomically expensive, because there's certain parts like high power LEDs that if you were to buy them from a US vendor rather than the manufacturer themselves, they're talking 5 to 10 times markup. So it gets real expensive real fast. And so VFE Pedals is what has provided the funding that I've needed to go buy those like parts and source those things and to move quickly, like so I don't have to like stop and create another purchase order and another purchase order and another purchase order. And so that's what has enabled me to create this kind of thing. And a lot of the things that you've seen in this video are just not possible without me just using money that I've raised through selling pedals to buy those things to make them possible. And what I was told when I first started teaching, and I was like 100% on board with this, is that what I can't do, what I should not do, is tell people, if you give me X dollars, I will do Y thing for my students. Like, because there's just no accountability. How do you know that I'm going to do that? Where's the paper trail? But what I can do is say, hey, here are the things that I've done. Here are the things that I am doing, and I'm trying to do. And here's like my overall idea. Will you support me as a person, as a teacher? That's what one of my big goals for this campaign is, to continue this sort of thing that I've been doing, including a module I want to put, right here. This is a sequencer module that I'm developing that has like piano style keys. It's a little easier and more intuitive for students to like learn to use to, work with the system and create like songs and such. This video has a lot of those things that I'm doing or have done or I'm trying to do, so that you get a sense of what I'm about, what I'm trying to do. And my ask is that you would support me in this Indiegogo campaign so I can continue to do those things. All right, thank you.